I have personally engaged this personality right from Sekendi Takrade, and today we are all in Accra. One woman I admire so much in the communication sector. Just before I give you all the details, you to join me. Let's take a slide on her, and then I'll give you all the inputs about her shortly. So it's on your screens right now. Tonight we're celebrating Esther Amba Numaba Koba. Esther A.N. Koba, I should always prefer us to call her. Positions as the Chief Executive Officer of Stratcom Africa. Her achievement, African Achievers Award, she's won it. Female Role Model of the Year 2013. And then again, she loves colors. Let's give her lime green and lilac as her favorite colors. And then her favorite quote, a good reputation is better than material riches. Esther, I've always loved riches. Why would you want me to get a good name?
Because a good name will bring you riches.
Is that the way it works? Get a good name and the riches will follow?
In my world, yes. Because if you're a rich person and people don't trust you, if you are chasing after riches all the time, by all means, riches will run away from you.
Wow. At a point.
But look at a company that loses its reputation, or even somebody that rises to the highest level but does not have a good reputation. They can lose everything they have in no time. But and riches for me are not only material or monetary riches. Riches are, you're wealthy when people respect you, when you have different resources, human and material, at your disposal. But you will see that when people don't trust you, they may do things with you, but it is only for the moment.
Wow, only for the moment. And that's Esther Koba that we are celebrating. I'll go down into memory line a little bit. Growing up, I've read your profile, and you had communication all around you. I mean, writing down in the bathhouse and, on every little opportunity, on that used papers, you'd always put that communication plan. Would you say those tenets growing up has made you who you are today?
Yeah, I guess my background in Sekendi, where I was born, and also in Komenda, looking at things that I thought could improve developmentally. My mother and I used to travel between Sekendi and Komenda a lot. Okay. And I used to ask her all the time why the people living in the rural areas couldn't have all the facilities that we had in Sekendi. And of course I moved to Komenda, went to school there, had to fetch water from the well and all that. There was no electricity. And so from childhood I've always desired to go into a discipline that facilitates development for people. And as I went through school, I realized that people just need to be empowered with knowledge to be able to use the resources that are around them, whether they are resources provided by a corporate entity, by government, or by various individuals, or just God-given resources that are around us all the time. For instance, last year we did the Garden and Flower Show, and basically it was to communicate what we can use the resources of soil, sun and water for, to generate income for the unemployed, and
creative,
and to generate foreign exchange.
We just sit by vast land and we still say we are poor. So you can look at all these natural resources and play around them. But you talked about knowledge. Now let me move a step further and say communication. Now, do you believe that we can use communication as a national tool to grow our economy one way or the other? And how can we do this?
Communication is for me, it's a foundation of everything. What are governments doing? Governments are trying to work with their citizenry to improve their well-being. They're trying to do things that the citizenry want, which means that there has to be constant communication between them. there's no way there can be good governance without communication, because good governance means, exchange of information. The people have to get their views known to government. Government has to get to the people what it is doing, and the people have to have channels for questioning what government is doing. So communication can help with national development. But it is not just about talking. It's not just about standing on platforms and talking. It's about meaningfully and scientifically diagnosing the information needs of people based on their strategic needs and objectives and aspirations, and then feeding them back with the kind of information they need. For instance, what are their responsibilities and what are the responsibilities of leaders? So this is the way in which communication can help, but you need to do it in a professional manner.
You talk about professional manner, and that's where my excitement comes in, because with this you have Stratcom Africa, and if you'd want them to do it professionally for you, then that's the time you would have to talk to them. But just give me the journey of Stratcom and how it came about. I knew 20 years ago there was one before, but just help me with the Stratcom dream. I mean, how did you start it and where is it now?
I think it's a very humble story of mobilizing the talents that God has given and God just putting them at the disposal of, the world. And it just started off by my looking around and seeing a lot of situations that require communication input. So I see communication as a tool for helping businesses to get their products understood, and for consumers to get businesses to understand what they really need out of their products, get governments to understand citizens, husband and wife, families, two countries, Ghana being understood, Africa being understood.
While you talk about Stratcom, let me alert viewers that we have images of the outlet on your screens right now, so you could take advantage. Those of you who've not seen Stratcom in the workers and pictures, you could take advantage and really see. But you were still on the dream about
Yes, so I just started. Every time I go out and I see a situation that can be managed through communication, I'd come and sit down and write a little proposal about how communication can help address the situation. Then over time, I was busy with other things, but I was writing these proposals. Those are what you described, that in the night when my children were asleep, I would, lay on the ground because I didn't want to disturb them and write, these proposals. And then I found young people that had finished school and didn't have any job. So I thought the two could come together. I asked them if they were willing to learn the discipline of effective communication, and they were. So what I did was, very early in the morning I'd teach them, and weekends I would teach them. Then I put the proposals at their disposal and asked them to use them to generate income. At that time it was called Center for Development and Intercultural Communication. And at that time I also realized that a profession like public relations was not well understood. A lot of people thought that public relations officers were people who had to carry suitcases to the airport or, arrange lunch. It's part of it. It's part of the stakeholder relations and all that. But there's more to it. And so I thought that I used to say I'm going on a mission to let people understand what communication can do for them, because I thought it was sad that people didn't know the power of communication. So, the young people worked. I kept teaching them until, and then registered it, and they were working. It was tough for them because I wasn't there all the time. But eventually I joined them, reviewed what they had been doing, got a management company to review the whole organization, and that is when the name changed to Stratcom Africa, and then Stratcom, then Stratcom Africa. etc. So it's been, but I had this vision of communication being a very strong tool that individuals, organizations, communities, and nations could use. I mean,
and I'm sure you've just advocated that so well today. Now, let me just come back to a little bit of you. So, what kind of a manager is Esther Cobbah?
I guess my staff will answer that best, but I'm very passionate about what I do, and I say that I do what I like and I'm paid for it. I'm passionate about what I do, and as my favorite quote says, a good reputation is better than material riches. So when I'm working, it's not just about delivering work to somebody. It's about a commitment, a passion that has to be delivered effectively. For me, work is worship. I keep saying that we go to church, it's like 1.5 hours in the week. Maybe during the week we go for a prayer meeting or fellowship or something. The rest of the time, we are in the world. And for me, the world is church. So work is church. So I'm very passionate, and I get very nervous when we are, not doing things right. So
maybe talking about nervousness, let me throw in where does the challenge lies? What are the challenges in the industry today, the communication sector? I mean, while you run Stratcom Africa, while you run your business, what are the major challenges you face?
Some of the major challenges we see are not enough appreciation of what communication can do for businesses. Communication, as we say in Stratcom Africa, can raise the bottom line. We get the message down and it raises the bottom line. But unfortunately, a lot of businesses see it as the extra. And if something has to go, communication goes first. But you're communicating with yourself. You're communicating with your staff. You're communicating with your external stakeholders. And whatever products or services you're providing to stakeholders. So communication is central to everything. But there seems to be a lack of appreciation of the importance of communication. It's getting better, but it's slow. Then, because of that, and because it's knowledge, it's a knowledge service based on knowledge, people find it very difficult to pay for advisory services. If you bring a table, they will pay for it easily. But if you develop a strategy,
they are not seeing.
Yes,
but
when they have a crisis, then usually they're willing to throw money at it. But dealing with a crisis is more expensive than being proactive, and that's what we do. We are strategic. It's like a human being. You either do preventive medicine, or you break down seriously,
and then use the
curative, which also affects different organs.
Esther, I just have 1 minute. I'll let you look into the camera and advise that person out there who says, I don't have a job. Just within 30 seconds, do this in your own special way for me.
Okay. There's something in every one of us. I was jobless at a certain point in my life, and I did my best to get a job, and today I employ about 50 people. What did I start with? A piece of paper and a pen, because I realized that I had the ability to work with the skill of communication. What is it that you have in you? Go within you, look around you, and maybe you can find something that you can do that will propel you into what you want to be. But at the end of it also, I would say seek the face of your Lord and ask Him to tell you the best that you can be.
Well, seek the face of your Lord and ask Him to tell you the best that you can be. My name is Kweku Temin. Thanks for staying with us. I've been speaking to Esther Koba. Many thanks for coming into the studio.